Hi there. Welcome to the ChatGPT Bootcamp. This is a 12 module program. I know on the slide it says 12-week, but it is in 12 modules, so you can consume it as quickly or as slowly as you need to. And my goal for you is in these 12 modules, you are going to learn how to master ChatGPT in order to eliminate, automate, and delegate your way to success in business. Now, this particular boot camp is for entrepreneurs and business owners. You can use it in your role in a company, but the primary goal is to cover 12 areas that I think are absolutely critical for business success. So if you're the owner or the entrepreneur, this is for you. Or if you want it to be for your team, they can take the individual modules. My advice to you is to go through it yourself first and then decide who should be taking which modules. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you to the veterans. So I created this course to help military veterans and their families. I wanted to say something thank you in a meaningful way rather than just thanks. So I created this course specifically to help veterans grow their businesses and thrive in their challenges in the civilian world. So congratulations on your transition. Thank you very much for your service, and I hope this helps you in the next phase of your career. Now, I'm going to introduce you throughout the module. You're going to meet my Drill Sergeant GPT. This is a custom GPT model. It's based on ChatGPT, and basically this model will help you apply the concepts I'm going to teach in this course. Now, I created him, I called him a drill sergeant because I thought it was appropriate, and also because I want to show that we're here to help, and you might need a little tough love now and then. So the drill sergeant is here to make sure you master the skills you need to master. All right, so we are going to cover module one, and in module one, basically we are mastering the art of prompts, and we're going to unlock some quick wins for you. So I want you to understand that prompt engineering is the foundation of success with AI in general, but it's definitely the core skill we need to learn with ChatGPT. So I will go into some detail. I will record some screenshots and I'll show you how exactly we master prompts. But basically, I want you to understand there's a couple of frameworks we're going to work on, and then I will go through some examples. So this slide is just to introduce you, and I want you to understand that mastering prompts matters. It is the core of success with AI, with ChatGPT. A lot of people, and myself included, when I first looked at ChatGPT, I was deeply concerned because I saw the garbage coming out in the world, and I looked at it and I thought, well, if this is all that it's going to do, it's clearly not a good tool. I'm sorry, but my initial judgment was AI is stupid and it creates stupid content. Um, Judgmental, I know, and forgive me, but what I learned was that AI is just a tool. It amplifies the person at the keyboard. So if you are an expert in your field, it will amplify your expertise. If you don't know anything about a field, it will amplify that ignorance or, sorry, the stupidity. So what I judged as AI's fault was really the fault of the users. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of noise, and one of the challenges with AI is that it is by default it's a large language model. So what it does is it prioritizes frequency. So if you look at the internet, the loud, noisy people, the ones who are, you know, at a party, they're the drunk idiots that are doing things they shouldn't, they are abundant and plentiful. And unfortunately, the experts are very well respected, but they're quiet and numerically they're fewer. So let's just say in a world, in a population of 100 people, maybe two are experts, 98 are not. And probably about 80 of those are raving lunatics or crazy people. Um, so in a large language model, it counts frequency. So, as an example, a drunken person who keeps spouting nonsense over and over and over, that will show up more frequently than a sober person saying, "Hey, here's what I think," saying it once and ending their sentence. So, the problem with a large language model, if you don't use it right, you're going to get a lot of things like hallucinations, you're going to get conversation fatigue, and your results will not be good. So I'm going to teach you in my world here. We're going to show you how to get good results, and I'm going to teach you some frameworks for prompt engineering, and then I will give you some quick wins, and I will share some resources. So I personally believe if you're going to look at AI in general, you need to get good at engineering prompts. Now, the secret, the spoiler I want to share for you is that if you master ChatGPT first, it is predominantly a written communication tool. It can do some other things, but I use it mostly for the writing piece. Um, it is very good if you seed it right, if you structure it right. So I'll share some frameworks. But the big secret is it's iterative. You've got to ask it questions over and over again. And here's the cool thing, once you get good at asking it questions, your first response that you get back, no matter what, is always going to be what I call the throwaway response. The good stuff comes somewhere around the fifth or sixth iteration. So be prepared. Now, you're going to get things done faster and they're going to be higher quality if you follow my process. Now, I've spent thousands of hours playing with AI, and so I found that ChatGPT is the gateway. And what I mean by that is it helps me identify other tools. It helps me create processes for things. But basically, by mastering ChatGPT, and I want you all to think about it, you can use other tools if you want. For me personally, if somebody says, "What's your favorite AI?" it's ChatGPT because I know it well. There are other models out there. There's Grok, there's Gemini, there's Copilot. They all work very well. I would just say that I know ChatGPT inside and out, so it's the best one for me. And if you're ever stuck, you can ask ChatGPT to help you learn things. You can ask it what you need to know about something, or you can ask it who are some experts, or what are some other tools we should be considering. And I say that because there are literally thousands of AI tools, and new ones are being released daily, hundreds, if not thousands. So in my world, you really want to specialize in one. And once you get the time savings from that one, reinvest your time into something else. Now, I'm a big fan of Dan Kennedy, Dan Sullivan, and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Those are three of my favorite experts. Dan Sullivan and Dr. Hardy actually wrote a book called Who Not How. Dan Kennedy is a copywriting expert. I like to bring those three into my conversations and others as well. But what I really think is once you start to see some time savings, you can start to ask questions about who on my team, that's the who, not how, who on my team should be learning these things, and how can I help my team embrace or adopt or use AI. Now, the other thing, if you ever have to learn new software, I use ChatGPT all the time, and I have a little prompt, which I will show hopefully over the next few modules. But basically, I ask, what are the categories of experts that work with this software? Who are the individual world-class experts that use the software or teach others how to use it? And then I'll say, here's what I'm trying to accomplish with the software based on our categories of experts and our individual experts. What are some best practices for using the software? And that right there cuts down on all the extra noise. But then I'll say, okay, if I'm looking to do this, could you write me a detailed business process to document it so that I can follow along and do this thing in the software? So instead of trying to learn everything about a software, you can learn exactly what you need to do to get started today. So I use that all the time. It helps me. And just for the record, sometimes you'll get some weird things. Sometimes you'll say, look, I'm not seeing that menu or that item. What I see is this. And it'll say, oh, sorry, we looked at an old set of notes. Here's the current notes. So it's really helpful, and it'll pull out details that you wouldn't have expected. So those are some of my weird tips. So what we're going to cover in detail are the problem, agitate, solution framework, the attention, interest, desire, action framework, and I'm going to share some insights. And two of my favorite experts that have guided my prompt engineering are Greg Brockman and Ethan Mollick, and I'll show you how to incorporate that into the tutorial. Some quick wins. We'll walk through how to draft an email, and I get it to the point now when somebody sends me an email, I will paste it into my ChatGPT and I'll say, here's what I'm thinking about responding. Here's what I think about it. Here's the questions I have, and it'll help me format and respond to the email. So the key is I'm drafting it. I want you to understand you are always the grown up. You are always in charge. So it's on your shoulders to make sure that the output you get from ChatGPT is what you need. And that's the thing I want people to know. I know a lot of things about a lot of things, but I never use AI for something I don't know anything about because I can't decide if it's good or bad. So I only write what I know, and I only use AI and ChatGPT in particular for things that I know. So when it comes to emails, I am the first and last line of defense. So I make sure they're drafted in my tone. I make sure they make sense. I make sure they're correct. So we're not disclaiming anything. We're not saying, oh, AI did it and it was wrong. No, this is your emails. We're just using it to speed it up so that you can, get the tone right. You can get the language right. You can, maybe add a clause. Maybe you can add, soften things. Maybe you can professionalize it. Maybe you can loosen it up a little. But drafting email is fascinating and fun with AI. The second thing we're going to show you is how to generate content ideas for blogs or social media posts. And again, I'm trying to be really practical. I want to give you some quick wins. And that leads to my third and favorite all-time use of artificial intelligence is writing standard operating procedures and to-do lists. You can call it action items, you can call it follow-up, you can call it whatever you want. But there's a few uses, and number one, I love to take a meeting that I've had and I summarize it, and then I'll get ChatGPT to create to-do lists for me and the other participants. The other thing is if I record something and I say, okay, here's how I do this thing, then I'll ask ChatGPT to take the transcript and turn it into a standard operating procedure. And it's never perfect, but it's always good enough that I can give it to somebody else and say, are you able to replicate this and do this one thing based on what I have for you? So if you're looking to grow your business and you're struggling because you are the owner, you're doing all the work, this is where you can start to delegate and hand things off. So throughout this, I'm going to talk about eliminate, automate, delegate. Writing SOPs is the most important piece for delegate. Now we're going to talk about ChatGPT, so I will create a bit of a quick start guide that will be available. And part of the course, we have a prompts library. I call it my perfect prompts library. You will have access Now, I will tell you, these are guidelines, they're suggestions, they're recommendations. Tailor them to you. And the magic of GPT is you can copy paste and say, okay, I want more of this, less of that. I like this, I don't like that. And you can make it perfectly fit for your use. I will also share my prompt template. So if you're ever stuck and you don't know what to ask, the prompt template will help you create the prompt that you need to get the results you want. And one of the practical exercises for people in our program is we recommend that you write and share a standard operating procedure for one repetitive business task in your world. That is entirely optional, but if you want feedback, that's how we do it. So that's module one. I'm going to dive in and do some examples now, and we look forward to your feedback as we go. Thank you.